Hello, this is Gabrio. Say hello, Gabrio.
Hello.
Gabrio is the writer of the original Black Seas game from Warlord Games, and he's now been talking us through the supplement, which is Hold Fast, or rather we've been playing a game of one of the scenarios from Hold Fast, haven't we?
We have indeed, yes.
Which was sort of the Bermuda Triangle one, but with a few tweaks.
Yes, yes.
We kind of moved the Bermuda Triangle setting a bit, didn't we?
Yes, we moved it to the Mediterranean, so it's kind of this obscure set of piece of sea in the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
which potentially could have had monsters.
Yeah, because that's one of the things we wanted to add in. So Hold Fast as a book has got a lot of new rules in. It's also a compendium of things that have come before in box sets and one-off releases that have been turned into this, the first supplement for the book. So yeah, scenarios are one of the main elements of the book, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes.
Got quite a few in there.
Yeah, there's many scenarios, many new scenarios. There's about 16 brand new standard scenarios, but there's also 3 solo scenarios. Mm-hmm. And if you add to that the scenarios that have been introduced for the 2 different campaign systems that we've introduced, one for the more group of friends getting together and the other one more suitable to tournaments and, a couple of days intense gaming events, then you're talking about a significant amount of scenarios introduced, significantly more than the ones that are in the core book. So it's expanding on that theme, because at its heart, Black Seas is a scenario-driven game. You can pitch battle if you want to. However, there's a lot of additional fun to be had if you play one of the themed scenarios. And I do encourage people to come up with their own, because why not?
Why
it
not?
as fun as you want, as long as everybody agrees. But this provides you with more than enough. If, like me, you like to have things exposed and follow the instruction from A to Z, then there's many scenarios here to get your teeth into.
Right, great, yes. And there's also new navies or fleets as well, which is another thing that we were playing with. The Americans, or the United States, we were pitting them against the Barbary pirates, who somehow found themselves over to Bermuda. So, so the Americans have been seen before, at least in part, haven't they?
They have. However, they didn't have a big feature in the original book, and we've represented them here, really opening up even the more historical side of things, which we didn't touch almost at all or just with broad brushstrokes in the main rule book. A wonderful historian called Kate Jamieson helped me significantly with the British and American wars and with the historical side of things. I've had a few collaborators on this book, so it wasn't all down to me. I collated it all and wrote all the new rules, but I've had several collaborators, which
cool, yeah. So we've got it covers the War of 1812, and then we go into the First and Second Barbary Wars as well. And then we've got US captains of renowned and famous ships. Is that something that you include throughout the book then? Different characters and different ships as well?
Yeah, so every single new navy has a little bit of a historical context to it. And then it has some of them, not all of them, have got very specific navy rules that you can play with if you want to. And all of them have got at least one special character and one special ships to add to your fleet. Mm-hmm. So in the case of the USA, it has, I believe, a couple of new special characters and a significant amount of ships.
Yeah.
A lot of the ships, the ones that we used in today's game, the North Carolina and the USS Independence, I never actually saw major action, if action at all. Mm-hmm. However, it's quite fun because, it doesn't only need to be absolutely historically faithfully
Yeah.
reconstructed. It's fun to just play around and just say, well, what if, you know, the USS Independence went and encounter the barbaric part, and we've seen what happened, didn't we? Matchsticks.
A lot of big guns firing at some small ships. Yeah, I mean, our game was quite interesting because I think me as the US, I only had 4 ships, whereas you had, what was it, 13 as a pirate, something like that? Yeah.
13, yes.
Yeah, so you were the pesky, annoying little ships, who were, including galleys as well. That's something that, is that new in Holdfast, galleys?
Galleys did have an entry, but there were no models, and we kind of make a little bit more of a feature, and we added some specific rules to them, which are in Holdfast as part of the new rules.
As part of the additional rules. So that's another section of the book as well. New rules that, as we said, for galleys, but also we use the which ones did we use? The awe and fear rules, which is the one about big ships fighting little ships.
Yeah. So I had to test every time I had to fire on your big ship, because it did scare me quite a lot, and you know, you've seen the results.
Yeah. Where did those new rules come from then? Are they all things that have been sort of added over the years because people have mentioned, oh, it'd be nice if you tweak this or if you tweak that, or they're just completely newly thought up?
Well, they've obviously, you think of a rule system and you play test it to death and just try every different scenario as possible, but it never really meets no plan ever meets the expectation of when you're engaging the enemy. So what has happened, it was obvious that some games were played with swarms of little brigs that would attack larger ships, and because the larger ships can be devastating, as you've seen, but they can only really take out 1 or 2 ships per turn. If you're having swarms, 20, 30 of these bricks, they can be very, very annoying and unrealistic. This is the thing, because the matter of the fact was that little ships just did not go against larger ships. They were too afraid. It just did not happen. Historically, it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Even in Trafalgar, there was some 5th-rate frigates. They were used to relay messages and communications. They did not take part in the battle. They would have been too ineffective, and they would have fallen to the enemy fire too soon to deem them the right tool to use at the time. So, so that it just didn't happen historically. And I wanted to represent that, but still giving you the option. So you can still, if you've got a little ship, go against a 2nd-rate like you had, the Independence, but you have to test, and you gotta every time pass. The larger the gap between your ship and the ship you want to go against, and the more difficult it becomes, but not impossible. So
okay, cool. So new rules, new scenarios, new characters as well, new navies, and we were also playing with some of the sea monsters as well, giant sea creatures, so we threw them in as well. So that's something that rules that were in a box set previously, aren't they? And they've now been bought into Holdfast.
Yeah. If you buy the set of the sea creatures,
yes, the Terrors of the Deep set. That's what we were playing with, or at least
So we put the rules in with the box set to allow you to play with them. However, it was just a loose sheet of paper. So now they're consolidated in the book, and there's a solo scenario that involves the sea creatures as well, Terrors of the Deep. So you can play with them if you want, and it's all part of the book. Yeah,
and of course they turned up in the Bermuda Triangle, just as they should do as well, obviously, causing a bit of an annoyance, really. The smaller creatures are quite an annoyance, aren't they? Sort of buzzing around, taking bites out of your ships, whereas the bigger creatures, they can be quite nasty, can't they?
Yes, they can. Yeah, they can bite your ship in half.
Yeah.
If I may mention, one of the additional rules, which is presented as like a small, 4 or 5 paragraphs, and that's it. It's actually significantly revolutionary rule. It's called A Simpler Time, and it allows you to play Black Seas in a previous period of time with some fairly minor tweaks here and there. It allows you to play in the 1600s, potentially in the 1500s as well, and in the 1700s, whereas Black Seas mostly covers the Napoleonic period. From the discovery of the carronades onwards, really. So the latter side of the 18th century.
Right, so that simpler time takes us into the age of piracy, then, doesn't it? Really,
that's very correct, and which is the reason why we will be releasing also a galleon.
Right. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
A model for a galleon, which really wouldn't have existed in the Napoleonic times,
No.
the Napoleonic era, but it's a fun way to just say, to nod towards, we're allowing you to play a previous period, for most of which you can use a lot of the ships that we have. The merchants have a nod towards a more traditional, more antique design of ship. The sloops have got a more antiquated design on purpose. That's still in use during the Napoleonic era, but less so, and you can kind of cross over. And with a little bit of imagination, the brigs could also be your traditional two-masted pirate ship. So although you can't use all of the ships, you can use a lot of the current range to cover this previous period. And there's in the galleon we've chosen the most iconic ships that we could think of, and we will release that as well.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of what's next then for Black Seas, is it? More ships coming out for that earlier period, ship models?
Yes, yeah. Well, there'll definitely be the galleon, and then we just have to see how it, where it takes us. But yes.
Right. Well, that's very good, and we should just establish at the end that I did win, didn't I? The Americans did win the game. I think we did have a count up at the end, and despite being a complete novice against the guy who wrote the rules, I did win. So let's just make sure we point that out.
You did win.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Gabrio.
You're welcome.
This video has been brought to you by WI Prime, Wargames Illustrated magazine's online members club. View more videos or find out more about WI Prime by following these links.